You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
To the Energy is Love podcast.
The podcast for the universe. That
You
was
said
funny.
it wrong.
Did I?
Yeah.
How do I usually say it?
Podcast for the universe.
I like our new intro.
Yeah.
Our new song. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
me
it a
too.
lot. I don't miss the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder why your incense burner isn't going down through the bottom.
It doesn't always.
Is it that whole thing where it's
That's
kind of like,
unique, actually.
is it?
That's a unique thing that's happening right there.
Where it's all,
I haven't actually seen it do that before.
it's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. It's like, oh, you saw me. It's getting lower.
We're going to take a picture and put it on Instagram so you know what the
Yeah.
hell we're talking about. Anywho, by the way, if you're not a fan of us on Instagram,
Why not?
last week, 2 weeks ago, I don't remember when it was in relation to when this episode comes out, but we had a fun interview with the folks from Mushrooms.
Mormons on mushrooms.
That's it. Mormons on
Mormons
Mushrooms.
on mushrooms. That's who we spoke with.
It was a lot of fun. It was an Instagram live thing that we did, and we enjoyed it immensely. And you can
Mike
go.
and Chili's.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You can still go tune in and check it out. It's there. Easy to find, obviously, because you're hip with the things and the social medias and stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
We're going to do more. If you want to be, are you fascinated now
I am
with the incense?
fascinated.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It is interesting.
That is like, I've never seen an incense do that.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like,
cool.
and every time we bring attention to it, it's like,
And then it fades.
and it comes
It's
down like,
oh,
no,
don't let him
you
see.
didn't see that.
If you want to do one of those Instagram lives with us and be on the podcast in that way, shape, or form, just hit us up. Send us a message. Do they call them DMs?
Mm-hmm.
Or
DMs.
IMs?
I used to say.
Did anybody ever say IMs, like instant
like,
message?
I think they did in the 90s.
They didn't have instant messaging
Yeah, they
in
did.
the 90s.
Wasn't it AOL?
No.
I think it was the 90s.
Okay, maybe AOL Instant Messenger.
And
was
that's
a
where
thing.
Instant Messenger came.
Okay.
Yeah.
The progression of technology in our lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
right? Since the time that you and I were born, we have seen probably the biggest technological advances in the history of man
Yeah.
have taken place since you and I have been alive
You're welcome, universe.
in the last 40
Or
years.
your world.
Wouldn't you say?
I think we are the change of the world.
We are
did.
the world. We are the people. Do you remember that?
I do. Not quite that way, but I like that version better.
That's the song.
I know, but do it again.
Lionel Richie sang on that, didn't
What?
he? Anyways,
Why was I thinking Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson sang on it too. They had
Is that
everybody
right?
back in the day.
Oh, it was the big one
It was
with
the big
all the
thing.
stars. Okay.
Yeah, all the stars aligned and
All
came
the
and sang a
stars.
song.
Yeah.
Sang a song for the world and
Yes.
ushered in technology.
Yes.
But think about it.
Okay.
And right now, in this moment, I'm thinking about it. And it has, in the last 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
we've had, obviously computers were a thing before that, right? But we've seen computers evolve immensely,
Yes.
like significantly
Mm-hmm.
in the last 40 years, to the point where they used to be these ginormous, slow, like these microphones that we're talking into probably have more technology in them than the computers did in the year that you and I were born,
Probably.
right?
Used to take like an entire room
Yeah.
to fit, like to do one computer, because all of that, all the cord, all the whatever,
Yeah. But even
all
like
the hardwire.
they had
hardware.
desktops
They had to.
when we were born,
Yeah.
but they were big and clunky and
Did
slow.
they have desktops when we were born?
I think so.
Or was it? I think
We had a desktop when I was a kid.
that's not when you.
That's not when I was born.
Yeah. Did you? I don't know.
Anyways, now we have
We
computers
didn't.
that are this size.
I know.
I'm holding up my cell phone if you're not watching. Yeah, that's insane, right?
Yes.
And-
Incense used to like fall down.
Yes.
The smoke. Never mind. That didn't work.
What? Oh, smoke
it
used to
didn't work.
fall.
It didn't work. I know smoke rises, but it's the waterfall thing.
Smoke
It
rises.
was supposed to be a thing. I was supposed to. It was gonna. It didn't work. It was
It
a
didn't
bad
work.
joke. It was a wah wah
Wah,
wah.
wah, wah.
Moving on.
I don't know. I just think it's fascinating. And it's probably not the most technologically advanced 40 years that this planet has seen.
You don't think?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Now that I think of it, right? Flying.
Well,
That's kind of a big deal.
Flying is a big deal, but it's flying in now. Oh well, space happened before.
What do you think
the 40
like the
years.
time span of flying was?
What do I think it was? Which I'm not going to say that because I can Google that, so I'm not going to sit here. And...
No, but like what I'm saying is obviously you had like Da Vinci back in the day who had imagined flying machines, and man has been trying to fly for a very, very long time. And then I don't even know when quote unquote man first took flight. Is it the 1800s, 1900s? I don't know.
I believe it's the 1900s.
I think it's the 1800s.
Do you?
I think
Is
the
it
Wright
the
brothers are
1800s?
the 1800s. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. But I can
Whatever.
almost guarantee you that our history is wrong, right?
Oh no, our history is very accurate.
Like we're sitting here
Our
thinking that
history
the Wright
is
brothers are responsible. And my guess is that those White brothers probably, notice I said white
I did
brothers,
hear you say that.
probably stole that from somebody.
Actually, I think we watched, that's actually hitting. There's something that they're the ones that got credit for it. They are not the ones that invented it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel really, really bad that I can't conjure that up. I think it might have been on Amend. I think Amend
Probably.
might have that accurate information that we are failing horribly to give right now. I feel like if you Google it, it's just going to give you the Wright brothers.
The pilot was Orville, since
It's
Wilbur had taken his
not.
turn in a failed previous attempt. The Wright flyer was in the air for 12 seconds and went 120 feet. Guess when?
Yeah, when? 1853.
December 17th, 1903.
I told you it was in the 1900s. I was trying to jump on the 1800 because I thought you were like, guess when? I was right.
Now we have an alternate story.
Yes.
While the Wright brothers are commonly thought to have been the first to fly an airplane, some believe the honor rightly belongs to two other pioneering aviators.
Who? Is it going to tell us? 'Cause I believe they were not the White brothers.
The case for Alberto Santos Dumont. Yeah, that's a thing. It's a big article. I'm not going to read it.
Yeah.
So as always, history isn't right. History is correct by I guess it's whoever wrote it, right? As far as
my
maybe somebody in the future will hear this episode and
Yes.
only this episode.
And think, wow.
Well, Stephanie and I
Those two
invented
were-
podcasting.
We did. Yeah.
If you're just tuning in and this is your first
And
episode, we
history
wanted to
is
let
always
you know.
correct.
Exactly. We invented podcasting and we made it a thing, and it turned out to be a pretty big deal. There were a lot of people that liked podcasts and liked podcasting, but we pioneered it. We started it. We were the first.
Joe Rogan's very grateful to us.
Yes.
He blew up with it. So you're welcome.
Yeah. You're welcome. But Stephanie and I have been podcasting since the early 80s when we talked into soup cans back and forth.
You're cute.
Did you ever do the soup can thing as a kid?
Probably.
Tie the string between the two soup cans?
I must have.
I did.
Yeah.
I have very clear memories of it.
And do you? I don't have clear memories. Do you want to share your clear memories?
I just remember doing it.
Was it with your brothers or was it with actual friends?
God, it was probably with my mom or something because my brothers are assholes. I don't know. I don't remember who it was with. Maybe friends. Yeah, I don't know.
If I did do it, it was definitely with my mom.
Yeah.
But I don't have any. But I think you've got to. I can't be a kid in the 80s and not have done it. I just don't have any memory of it.
I heard Canadian.
I meant
Can't be Canadian and not
kid
done it.
in the 80s. I'll slow down and enunciate.
Kid in the 80s.
Kid in the 80s. I was a 80s.
80s baby.
80s baby.
Yeah. That makes
Driving
us...
a 90s Mercedes. Oh, wait. No, it's 90s baby. 80 Mercedes. That's...
90s baby, 80s
It's a
Mercedes.
song. It's not.
Sing it.
Yeah.
We are the world.
What are you stalling for? What are we
What am I
getting
stalling
to?
for?
What do you want
Because I'm
to talk
nervous.
about? I know. What
This
do
is
you want-
it's not a big episode. I had a bunch of stuff this week that I thought we could talk about on the podcast.
Did you? A bunch
Yeah.
of stuff?
I've got a list.
Can I see when do I get to see the list?
You can look at it right now.
Can I?
No, you can't.
Why can't I?
Because it won't make sense.
I'll ask
Excuse me.
questions. I'll say, what does this mean?
No,
And then that's how we'll talk about it. It's brilliant. I'm brilliant.
You're going to have a lot of questions for me in this episode. But anyways, as we were getting ready to record this week, I was thinking about different topics and different things.
Yes.
We threw out on Instagram the whole Meghan Markle, Harry Styles. It's not Harry Styles. Prince Harry. Interview with Oprah. I thought we could talk about that and share our feelings about that. There's just a bunch of different things that I had in the back of my mind.
I hadn't thought with that.
Go ahead.
I'm going to ask real quick. Do we know what the royal's last name is?
No.
Like, right? I was thinking, I'm like, what is their freaking last name?
Yeah. Maybe that's why she still goes by Markle.
It's like a secret. Like, I'm trying to think.
Well, they're like the Duke and Duchess of Sussex or something. That's their last name.
And then you have like the Queen.
Yeah.
And then you're like
of England. Their last name is of England. Yes. That's it. Their last name's of
Prince
England.
Charles of England.
Yes. Prince of England.
Diana
Prince Harry
was
of
Princess
England.
of England.
Right.
Okay. But seriously, I thought, holy shit, how have I never noticed that we don't even know their last name?
I'm
and
sure.
maybe it's a known thing, but
Yeah.
it's not a known thing here.
Not a known thing to us, for sure. Anyways, I just had a bunch of different stuff that we could talk about. And then... And then my life path, the path of life that I'm on, has led me to today.
Today.
Yes, and I had a moment today.
Mm-hmm.
This will make sense as I get into what happened today. But I had a moment today where I saw a bunch of synchronistic events that led up to today. So it was really, really cool.
Are we going to share those?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
So why don't you tell people what happened today rather than me trying to stumble through it? And then I'll go into what the experience was like.
I am known for my elegant. No, okay.
Elegance.
Are you ready? It's not elegance. That's not what I'm trying to say.
I read a word today that I did not. I wrote it down. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I was waiting.
Okay.
Okay, so today...
Hold on, the word differentiation. Maybe that's how it's pronounced.
I believe it is.
Differentiation.
Differentiation.
That's for a later podcast.
Differentiation.
Go ahead. Today.
Are we pulling out our balls?
Would you like a coaster
Give me
for
a
your
thing
ball?
for my balls.
Okay.
My balls got some swirls.
My lipstick balls.
Crystal balls brings all the boys to the yard.
That's good. My crystal balls bring all the boys to the yard.
Okay. I feel it's important that you share, but you decided today that you were going to go on a little plant medicine spiritual journey. And by I say little, I don't mean little. You decided today you were going to go on a plant medicine journey.
Yes.
Little healing. I said little again. Healing journey. And we had a bunch of time to ourselves, hours and hours and hours. And you utilized that time to begin your initiation and your reconnection back with plant medicine and yourself.
Correct.
And today was the day.
Today was the day. Specifically reconnecting to mushrooms and psilocybin. Several years ago, you and I got our hands on some mushrooms that we foraged and collected in the woods. Not really. But we got our hands on some mushrooms back in the day. And it's been several years. Like, when's the last time we went to our yurt?
I believe it was in
19 was Brandy, so was it 18?
It was when I graduated.
17.
Was it 17?
Because 18 we skydived. I think it was 17.
I think it was 8. Holy shit. No way.
Yeah.
I think it was 18.
No, because...
Oh, wait, no. Because we skydived at the same because you also we were going to do that week, but Ogden didn't pan out. And so then you wanted to do the real skydive, but with the weather. So I think it's the same year. 18. I think.
Either way.
Because we went for the Union Weep. It's okay that I say it.
Was in February.
That's when we went.
That's right. Celebration of your graduation.
Yeah, and then after that we did the bed and breakfast.
Yeah. Okay. So 3 years.
Fucking anxiety over that
podcast
question.
over. Our brain broke. We tried to do simple math.
That was hard.
remember something from 3 years ago.
Sorry.
Problem
I have
is
a trauma brain. I cannot remember dates.
we had to remember through 2020. And so that's the problem, right? Now when we go back in time, anything that goes through 2020 becomes all scrambly.
Right? It's like WandaVision.
So we got our hands on some mushrooms back in the day. And we had some really beautiful experiences and connections with each other, with the mushrooms, with just this beautiful experience over the course of a couple of months, because we did them a handful of times.
I was like, we were there like a couple of days, babe.
And it was wonderful. And that was my first experience ever with mushrooms.
Yeah.
I had never had any experience prior to that.
It was mine too.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
I think I knew that.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, kind of. Yes and no.
One time didn't count.
Well, it didn't, but it's because it wasn't really mushrooms. We just thought it was.
Oh.
So we were kids thinking we were doing shrooms and we weren't.
Just eating mushrooms.
So first actual time, second attempt.
That's cute. And then I had another experience in 2019.
And it shut down the world.
No, I don't remember. That one I think was 2019. Went to Yellowstone with some buddies and had some relaxing, wonderful connected time in nature with some friends and things like that as well. Needless to say, not a lot of experience, right?
Yeah.
And not a lot of work with psilocybin or psychedelics in general. Obviously, there's been a handful of episodes in the past 6 months where we have had some edibles and enjoyed some marijuana on this podcast, and that's been really wonderful. And I guess in a way, I have been leading up to, I mean, you and I have talked about mushrooms a lot in regards to the significance of them, the importance of them, how we feel using them, as well as like the benefits that they have for us, just as humans, as well as kind of individually what we hope to achieve with them. We take a mushroom supplement every single day. We eat a lot of mushrooms.
Yeah. We're medicine, not recreational use is where we are. We are definitely medicine oriented.
Yeah.
Well, at least I am.
Yeah.
I feel like you are, but I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah.
Maybe
And there's
I'm wrong.
nothing wrong if it's just straight up recreational.
Yeah.
Either.
There is nothing. Well, I don't know. We're not doing that. So I don't want. I'm just clarifying.
I appreciate your clarification, but for the scope of the world listening,
They're like, we don't care, Stephanie.
No, in my opinion, there should be zero delineation between recreational, medicinal. All of it should be up to the person to do whatever the fuck they want to do. And it doesn't matter. There's no judgment across the board.
Well, for me, it's a lifeline. So for me, it's medicinal.
Yes.
And anyone else can, I guess.
Do whatever they want.
I guess. Yeah.
Right?
That makes
Nothing wrong
sense.
with it.
So there you go.
Anyways, we have been wanting to incorporate mushrooms back into our lives in a more conscious way of rather than just a mushroom supplement or eating mushrooms, even though those are beneficial and healthy things. We've talked a lot about microdosing and wanting to microdose with mushrooms and things like that, specifically psilocybin, I guess, not just mushrooms, right? Microdose psilocybin, all of these things.
Get my portobello on.
Microdose some portobellos. Portobello Road. All of this leads up to today for me. And we recently foraged for some mushrooms in the woods and found some again. So we have a small...
We're quite good at it.
We're really good at it. We have a small quantity of mushrooms that no longer exist.
They were ingested today.
Yes.
By the EU.
And all of it is leading up to me wanting to reconnect into the space of using psilocybin in a connected medicinal way as a way to help with my physical, emotional, spiritual, pretty much just me as a whole. Yeah. And my intention, so this has taken place over the past few weeks where I want to drop back into the space in association with mushrooms, with psilocybin, and almost like reconnect into that vibration and reconnect back into that place that you go to, because I feel like it's a very unique place. I feel like I feel like mushrooms are these kind of, there's going to be a lot of things that I say during this episode that are like super spiritually enlightened bullshit that drives me bonkers when I hear other people say it.
That's funny.
But that's okay.
Are you going to do the voice?
What's the voice?
We're now
Oh my God.
going to talk like this.
I'm so thankful that everybody, thank you, my lovelies, for tuning in today.
I feel like you are.
Bless, love,
Next
and right.
podcast, you're going to be doing the voice.
This is love and light to all of you.
Okay, stop it.
Touch your third eye. Come down to your heart chakra.
Oh my God, you're going to.
And take
Stop
a
it.
deep breath. Okay.
Is that your bad hand?
No.
Oh, thank God.
So I feel like mushrooms are sentient organisms that contain energy of
Sentient? Not sentient?
either one. They're both. They have the ability to do multiple things.
This is a rare fucking moment that I had the right word.
I feel like they have the energy of the planet as well as the universe. And I feel like when we use them, they share that energy with us. So it's not necessarily just a plant in my mind, right? I feel like it's a much more connected thing. So I've been anxious to connect back into that space because I like how it feels. I like the information that it holds, as well as I feel like there are some massive benefits to my brain and other parts of my body. So my plan is to start microdosing. But before I start the microdosing, I wanted to drop back into the space with a larger dose. Hence, today. I didn't know for sure when this was going to happen. There was a bunch of things that I wanted to make sure kind of were in place. I wanted to make sure that I was in kind of the right state of mind, emotionally and mentally, that I felt positive about things, that I felt good. I wanted to make sure that you and I kind of had uninterrupted time so that it wasn't something that had to be rushed within the, you've got 3 hours, we can do this. I didn't want to have a lot of obligations as far as like work or different things going on. I just wanted to be able to relax into the space and let whatever take place. So today ended up being that day, which I'm very grateful for. I had so much fear leading up to it. Even though it was fear that I wasn't really aware of. That's not true. It was fear that I didn't want to address or look at and connect to. And this morning when I threw out this plan to you, we got into a nice little argument this morning that I realized when I was looking back at it later on in the day, was just 100% my fear. It was 100% my fear of... So because of my belief in regards to what can be accomplished and achieved kind of in this partnership with psilocybin and with mushrooms, I have all of this fear about what I'm going to uncover and what I'm going to find. I feel very stuck right now in life, even though that's I don't even know if that's like an accurate portrayal of how I feel. I guess stagnant maybe is a better, it doesn't matter. I don't need to dissect it. But I was hoping for so many different things. And the fear is like, it's not going to work. I'm going to fail. I'm going to quit. Do you know what I mean? All these different things. And rather than address and look at any of those things, as well as like, there's this other big part of me, babe, that, and I expressed this to you probably this morning, was I feel a lot of potential and a lot of capacity, like untapped opportunity in a sense with my life and what I'm doing and how I'm living. And I don't want to fuck that up. And I don't want to miss out on what feels like another big, deep evolution of me. But it's scary, as evolution always is. And it also, I've been recognizing over the last few months that I have some coping mechanisms and some behaviors and some habits that I usually implore during these time periods of transition. And I don't want to do any of those things because I kind of see them as no longer beneficial or serving of me, right? So I want to evolve into this next phase without the implementation of old behaviors that I would use as coping mechanisms during that transition period of challenge and strife. So I very much want to do that in a different way. But the fear that you're staring at me and I'm feeling like you're like super judgy. So I'm going to do my best to not look at you, at least when I'm saying these hard things. So I feel like I'm going to be able to do this next transitional phase of my life, hopefully with different, not even coping mechanisms, but like, you know, way more connected and consciously moving through it rather than kind of clusterfucking and falling down the stairs through it and discover. You can look at me now. I feel like you're ignoring me.
What do you want me to do? I'm doing my best to make you comfortable.
Oh, heaven. Okay. The alternative was staring at the wall.
I was not. I'm
not looking at you. I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking at you.
It's not the first time you got mad at me for looking at you today. You didn't get mad at me, but okay. So
that's kind of the intention behind why I wanted to do this and what the intention was moving into it. Do you have any questions?
No, keep going.
I'll keep going, but I want to give you the opportunity because I know that you've been chomping at the bit. So as I progress and go along.
I'm not going to dig on the podcast because you're going to say what you want to say, but I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to dig.
You don't have to dig, but you can ask questions. I'm sure you've got a bunch of questions.
I'll probably talk to you later.
Well, if I don't want to answer them because we're recording a podcast, then I will just say that.
I'm struggling with. Maybe I'm struggling with.
With stuff?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. So I took my nice little dose, took 1 milligram of psilocybin mushrooms this morning at approximately 9:38.
Can I looking at you? Were about to get mad at me for looking at you again, weren't you? Jesus, what if I just stare off to your shoulder?
Yeah. And then the day just progressed. We had plenty of time to relax into whatever took place. And in the past, you and I have used in the past, and then it's so much better if you look at me.
But then you get nervous when I look at you.
I know, but then I just have to deal with that rather than feeling like you don't care or feeling like you're not really interested.
Which is why
or feel like you don't want to be here. So it's much better if you just look at me.
Well, then I'm going to stare at you intently, and it's not judging.
Okay.
I'm listening.
So I know how much I enjoy nature when I'm on mushrooms, right? I like being outside. I like the trees. I like the colors. I like the sounds. I like all of those things. So there was a part of me that kind of had that in the back of my mind. It's also it was a beautiful day today, right? We had good weather here today again.
Not really.
No, wasn't it?
No, I went and sat outside for a while and had a little bit of a conversation, and I'm like, it's fucking cold.
Was it cold?
It was cold and windy, so no.
Well, anyways, we didn't go outside. And this morning we jumped in the shower, and what I wanted to do was take a bath. So you and I have bathed together before. It's not something new. It's something that we do semi-regularly. And for whatever reason, I wanted to take a bath today. I thought that would be very relaxing and very nice. And we have a nice relaxing bath space, right? Mm-hmm. Our little corner there in the bathroom is pretty cool. I also wanted to dump in a bunch of Epsom salt because my body is nice and sore from jiu-jitsu, and I've got all sorts of injuries and elbow aches and broken fingers and all sorts of stuff. So that was the intention. We get into the bath, and immediately I'm just like, oh, this was the right decision. Immediately my body was like, yes, please. This is the place that we want to be. It felt very comforting, very warm. Obviously it's a warm bath, but there was no part of it that was negative. It all was just immediately feeling super, super good. And I started to slowly, for me, the experience intensifies in the beginning. It's like how I know that the experience is happening and how the effects are taking place, or coming on, I should say, are visuals. And that's just kind of the caveat, like the broad description that I use to cover a bunch of different things, right? It's not necessarily seeing things, but things will start to move. So like I was staring at our ceiling in the bathtub, and it's just a plain old white ceiling, but it's got, what's that stuff called?
I call it texture, but that's not the right word.
It is. It's a textured ceiling.
It's a thing though that they put on plaster.
Yeah, but the ceiling is textured, so it's not just a flat wall. And so the textured ceiling starts to kind of slowly shift and move in very, very subtle ways, right, in the beginning. And that's kind of like the initial onset of, okay, here we go. Something's about to happen, and I'm beginning this process. My body starts to get very tingly. I noticed that, like, I started to get very, like, just tingly all over my body, and I started to feel disconnected from my body. At some point, I realized that I could still feel my legs, but I couldn't feel my legs. So I start to kind of get this disassociated feeling with my physical body, even though I'm still kind of feeling my body. Some of the visuals start to intensify. We have a, God damn, what that type of light called? There's a very specific
ceiling light.
Okay.
Like a
cam light.
Cam light.
Yeah, in the ceiling above the bathtub, and the opening for the cam light starts to like it starts to kind of look like it's expanding and opening and closing, almost like it was breathing. So that was really trippy. And all of these things kind of just slowly take place on top of you and me in the bath. And you're trying to talk to me, and you're trying to like carry on, not necessarily carry on a conversation, but you're trying to like check in and see how I'm feeling and kind of gauge. And it became really apparent to me really quickly that like I could talk, but I didn't want to talk. In talking to you, it was like dropping in and out of that connected place. And at one point, I think I even mentioned this to you, where it was like jumping dimensions or slipping back. Like the time existed much differently in the real dimension, or in this place where you were and where you and I were in the bathtub together, and coming, like dropping back into that time had a very significant feel. And then I would slip back out into these other spaces. And so in order to talk to you, I had to drop back into the time that we were in. And it was difficult, right? It wasn't like so incredibly difficult that I couldn't do it, but I didn't want to do it. So you were talking and asking me questions, and I was like, I don't want to talk about any of this stuff right now. I just want to be in this space. And then it became very clear too that I needed to I needed to be able to stretch out into the water more. And so I had you get out of the bath, because what had happened was, this is so fucking weird, babe. This experience was so fucking trippy for me. The water became this whole thing during this experience for me, where it wasn't just a bath. The water played a very significant role. And in the beginning, it was just like the soothing, relaxing feeling to help me relax into the space. And then as my ears started to, there's always that spot like where your ears are half in and half out of the water, right? Maybe one of them drops in a little bit because you turn your head this way or you turn your head that way. And you get that sensation of one ear's underwater, one ear's out of water, or like your ears half in and half out kind of, right? That's what started to happen. And I could tell that like I needed to get my ears fully underwater, because that was like going to be dropping into another layer of this experience. And in doing that, I wanted to be able to kind of fully stretch out and relax and drop into that space without any other distractions. And like the physical contact that you and I were having just by laying next to each other became very loud. And it was almost like a connection point to this place. So you jumped out of the bath, and I kind of got myself situated. And even before you got out, I dropped my ears under, I think. And it's like I could suddenly, underneath the water, I could hear things in a very, very different way. And there's the part of it that's like the physical realities of being able to hear. Like I could hear, we have a space heater in our bathroom because our bathroom's a meat locker. and I could hear the motor of the space, or I could hear the motor of the space engine running, and that was distracting me. I could hear, at one point, I think I heard the dogs bark in the backyard, and that became like, what the fucking weird fucking bizarro alien noise was that? Because it totally didn't sound like the dogs barking. And I could hear you talking, and it's totally Charlie Brown talking, right? It's that wah, 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 wah. Not because I was ignoring you.
How much talking do you think I was doing?
Not a lot.
I wasn't doing like hardly any, so
I
I'm
know.
like wondering what you were hearing. 'Cause I'm like, you were shushing the universe. I was quiet most of the time. So you're like, why are you talking? Because you fucking asked me to.
No, I was very clear too that there were times that I was making noise and saying things, and it wasn't in relation to you. Like, it wasn't in response to something you asked me or something that you did. And that became a very apparent thing too, that I felt stupid and I felt silly, and I didn't like you watching me, because I didn't feel like I could fully kind of drop into this bizarro fucking place if you were watching me, because I was being very fucking weird. Like, I was very cognitive of the fact that I was behaving like a fucking high person laying in a tub. And it felt very, very awkward. But I also did not want to not be in that moment. I very much wanted to be able to go into that moment more. And so you get out of the tub. You turn the fan off like I asked you to, and then you turned on some drumming music in the background, because I knew that I wanted to have some sort of rhythmic tone going on. And that was perfect. Like, as soon as all of that stuff took place, and as soon as I thought you left the bathroom, I know you did leave at some point, and then you came back in, but I didn't remember you coming back in at all. But when I thought that you left the bathroom, then finally I was like, okay. And then I could totally drop into the place. I let the water come up really, really close, and at points my eyes were kind of underwater, the corners of my mouth. I could always breathe. I never went fully under the water, but I just really dropped into this space. And like, so many things got processed there. God, I feel like 4 hours in, finally got to the part where I'm underwater. Back in 2019, back in 2019, I had an experience where I went into a float tank, and I damaged my ears. And the experience was frustrating, to say the least. And what it was I had an opportunity to float, and it was an opportunity to float for the first time on edibles. So I was very excited, and I had a really good experience. But my ears, because I think I had been sick before, or I had already kind of had some sort of ear infection or something like that. So I got water into my ear, and then like I woke up the next morning and I still kind of had the fluid in my ear, and it was really wonky. And then I went across the street to get some coffee. And as I was like waiting in line for the coffee, I got all of this, what's the word?
Pain, dizziness, vertigo.
Vertigo. This vertigo thing happened that was like really, really intense. And in my mind at the time, I'm like, this is still the effects of the fucking edible from the night before. I couldn't tell what was going on. And then the vertigo continued for several weeks, and we had to figure that out. And then my ears were never quite right after that. And like months, I was trying to remember if this, I think they had popped. Do you remember when Sean and, when they came out?
Mm-hmm.
What was that? All of this is insignificant to today, but it's significant to me because I have this fucked up ear on my left side, and it rings incessantly all the time. And it's the type of thing that I don't really hear it anymore, but it's still there if I listen for it. And I have like funky ear pain sometimes. And I'm always very cognitive now of my ears. I haven't floated since then. because I didn't want to get the float solution in my ears. And so today, when I fully submerged under the water, what happened was my ears started to fill up with water. And initially it scared me because I was like, no, I can't do this. This is a bad thing that leads to all sorts of terrible things that are difficult and hard for me to deal with. But I let it go and I kind of relaxed. And then they kind of continually dropped further. Like I got more water into my ear and more water into my ear. And it's like each time I'd have like a bubble come out of my ear. So I could tell that like the water was getting in deeper and deeper and deeper into my ear. And it was just this really beautiful experience in the moment of realizing that like, that it was okay, that I could be underwater now, that my ears were going to be okay, that I could hear, that it wasn't a bad thing. There was some correlation connection because I dumped a bunch of Epsom salt into the bath. So I think the salt that was in the water with us was very, almost acted like a conduit in a sense for this energy and kind of the connection to the space that I was in. So that was kind of like layer one of that experience of being in the water and the realization of my ears and the excitement. Like at some point along the way over the last few years, we've done research and I've come across stuff that talks about because psilocybin will help in the regeneration as well as like healing of like neural pathways. And I've also heard that it can help with like tinnitus in your ears and different things like that. And so I'm very excited for that benefit and effect. So it was like the affirmation of like, this is going to be a good thing for your ears and it's going to help you hear and it's going to help you listen. And that was like the significance in the moment of like, not only am I going to be able to listen better, meaning like in connected conversations with you, with our children, with the important people that I have in my life, I'm going to be able to listen better, but I'm also going to be able to hear better. And I'm going to be able to hear all of the, I got to have you look at me. So I feel like you want to be here. I'm getting super scared.
I just readjusted.
It's okay. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. But I'm going to be able to hear the universe, right? I feel like there's been a part of me, and this isn't necessarily like there's not a correlation or connection with my damaged ear, but more internally, there's been this part of me that has felt like I haven't been able to hear the universe all that well lately for like a few years. And I miss it. I miss the connection that I have and the ability to hear it and see it and feel it. So that was another part of this experience in the water. And that moment was like, you're going to be able to hear it again and you're going to be able to hear it better. And there was another part of like my stomach. At one point you were dumping water on my stomach to kind of warm me up because my belly wasn't underwater. And then there was another part when I was in the water and I was like moving with the water and causing these waves. And I was like totally felt like I was in the ocean. And there was like this smooth rhythmic wave action and the water was coming up over my belly naturally. And it was just this realization too of like how much more I'm going to be able to hear the universe as well as hear my own internal, because I feel like my gut and my stomach is my connection point to the universe, and how much more that's going to be able to be like, I don't have to hide that anymore. I don't have to ignore that. I don't have to cover that up. I don't have to be afraid of that. I can just simply trust it. Trust that it is exactly that. So that was really neat. And throughout this experience, I was like if we just look at it from like this weird metaphysical dimensional aspect, well, like there's a part of me that felt like I was in this water world, probably like 85, 90%. And then there was still 10% of my consciousness that was in our bathroom, that was in the room. I could hear some of the pipes sometimes and different things like that. And I kept wanting to disconnect from that space even more. I wanted to drop more into the water world. And at one point I was in the like pretty deep into the water world, and I could feel that there was another expansive place that I could go to and that would open up. But in order to access it, I had to get way quieter, meaning like my thoughts and my mind. And I knew in that moment, like I had this huge scary feeling of like, get really quiet my mind, quiet my thoughts, and then I'm going to be able to drop into this other place. And as I had that thought and that realization, then my mind was like, no, and starts thinking about everything that it can think about to speed things up so that I don't drop into this unknown dark place that has a scary feeling to it, even though I know it's not scary, right? And in that moment too, I had another realization of like, oh, this is probably like what 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 grams of mushrooms is going to help with, is the mind not having that opportunity to say, no, and hold on to this reality. It's going to be able to completely drop away with the assistance of the psilocybin and those mushrooms. So that was kind of a neat awareness. And also an appreciation for like, this is a good spot. This is a good spot for where I'm at. I don't need to go, do you know what I mean? It's not like Inception where I got to go 5 layers deep and never make it back out because I'm trying to find Leonardo DiCaprio down there somewhere. It was just a good spot to be in. And then I would drop back into like no longer water world, 85, 90%, more like maybe 20, 25%, and then kind of back into the connected space of our bathroom. I could feel my body a little bit during those time periods. And then like the next, this is really fucking weird. The next layer of something happened. Are you doing okay? Do you have any questions?
No.
I feel like you do have so many questions. I've been excited for your questions.
Sorry, I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
The next level?
Yes. So I was relaxing and I could feel my head pressing into the like the bottom of the shower or the bottom of the bath, right? And I wanted my head to be able to float freely. And so I filled up some more water and then kind of shifted my body around, and my face dripped into or like the right side of my face dropped into the water a little bit more, to where now it was kind of right up into my mouth. I could get a little bit of salt water in my mouth every now and then. I never got my nose, even though it was kind of really close to coming into my nostrils, but my right eye was submerged underwater. I had my eyes closed almost this entire time because I was in this space, right? So my right eye's underwater, my left eye's not, and I'm in this space for a moment, and I realized that I had this thing in my head that was like, just open your eyes, open your eyes, open your eyes. And there's a part of me, I mean, I knew salt water wasn't going to hurt my eyes, right? Because we've gone to the ocean and I open up my eyes under the water at the ocean. So I'm not concerned about like salt water hurting my eyes, but I had this like fear. And I'm like, it's not the salt water. Like, just open your eyes. It's not a big deal. And so then suddenly I open up my eyes and I open up both of them. And now it's bizarro fucking in 2 literal places at the same time, because suddenly I'm underwater in water world, looking into the real world or into the bathroom. And then I have my left eye in the bathroom. So it got super fucking trippy. And as my right eye that was underwater started to adjust, I could see clearer in that space. And my left eye was starting to become a distraction. So I closed my left eye, and now I was only in water world, seeing there. And it was such a beautiful place to kind of be in this spot, because light looked different there. There were points where I was playing with my hand, so I brought my hand up out of the water so that I could see my hand in the bathroom, but look at it through water world. So I was like looking into another dimension from another dimension. And so I brought it like close to the water and saw what my fingers looked like, and then further away and how it would like disappear. And there were times when it would like, my hand very much disappeared and then would reappear. And obviously the closer to the water, it became more blurry. So it looked like I had a bunch of fingers. If I rotated my hand a certain way, it would turn black. And then it like looked creepy alien handy. And then like light hand, like, you know, a luminescent light hand, and then dark creepy alien hand, and amphibian hand of multiple fingers, and then disappear into the... So I was just like in this fucking moment, in this place, playing around in this other dimension, looking at the dimension that we're in this weird, like, cool way. And then I brought my hand down into the water and then looked at my hand in that dimension, and it looked completely different. So it was just like this beautiful fucking weird trippy experience. And through it, as I was like going with it and feeling it and experiencing it and being it and all of these kind of different things, I mean, there was still like part of me that was in this place in our bathroom, laughing at myself, feeling so stupid and so silly. And I was thinking about how much I do things based off of how you see me, or how I think you see me, or basically I'm doing things because you're watching me and I want you to watch me. And it's not like that's not right. It's just this awareness moment that I had where I was like, so much of what I'm doing is based off of how you're going to see me, because I want you to see me. And it's not just like, hey, look at me, I'm doing this cool thing. It's like, I want to be validated by you. I want you to see me. I want you to validate my worth. I want you to love me. All of these kind of different things. Because a lot of these moments that I was experiencing in this bathtub, I felt super fucking stupid. I felt really silly. And I'm like, who's watching me? Nobody's watching me. I don't need to feel silly. And I realized initially, like, there was a part of it that was very much centered around you watching me and seeing me, and how the way that you see me is so important to me, and how much I want to be seen by you. And then it was like, well, she's not here. She's not seeing you right now. So why do you care what you look like? Who's here? Who's seeing you? And then it was like, well, Craig is. Craig is seeing me right now. And Craig is super judgmental about what I'm doing right now. Craig is very much like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is stupid. You're just a fucking high person in a bathtub right now. You think you're dropping in and out of fucking dimensions, dumbass? So then it was like another layer of processing. And when I had that realization of like, oh, I'm seeing myself and I'm judging myself and I'm feeling stupid, there was this moment of like, well, fuck that guy. I want to be, it's not even silly. I told you at one point that I like being silly together, and I like having the freedom to be silly. But it was like, in that moment, when I had the realization that I was watching myself and that I was judging myself and that I was seeing myself, and that voice was mine, right? The judgment and the, it was this moment of like, I get to be who I am. I get to be connected. I get to be the person that lays in the bathtub and feels like he's in another dimension. And I get to like twitch weird, and I get to move around, and I get to feel my hair flowing, and I get to experience all of these things. And it's not a matter of like, fuck anybody else for judging me for that, or, you know, I don't care what other people think. It's none of that. It's like, I just get to be that. I don't have to carry that anymore of like, just that judgment of myself for all of these things. I mean, this is one of the points that has some integration that's going to take place. And this is also, I think, one of the points that would have been a deeper push into some spaces. Had it been a deeper experience. Because I'm not doing the greatest job explaining it, but it has some very profound significance for me. And what I'm left with, on top of like the recognition that there's some more processing and some integration that's got to occur, is this idea that I'm amphibious. Because that was the other thing that took place, where I was like in water world and in this other dimension where our bathtub was, right, in our bathroom. But that I'm amphibious, and that I'm supposed to be amphibious. I'm supposed to be able to be in multiple dimensions and go from one to the other. And the idea that I'm only supposed to be in this one, well, that's not how I'm made up. My makeup, my design is to be able to go into and out of and through and be present and see and connect and feel in all of these different dimensions. So I'm amphibious. That was really fucking a good recognition and reminder, and like a new level of awareness. And then I could feel this wave of intensity and connection kind of fading. And as I dropped back into my body some more, I could feel some stiffness in my body, and I needed to stretch my legs and move. So I sat up, and you scared the living shit out of me. I had no idea that you were in the bathroom still. At some point you had come back in quietly, and
Immediately, I grabbed my book and walked right back in.
Yeah.
Very quietly.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah. You weren't supposed to.
Well, yeah, I'm glad I didn't know that.
Me too.
But it scared the shit out of me. It just literally, I caught you out of the corner of my eye, but you just seemed like a shadow. So coming out of this place, I'm very cognitive of visuals, right?
I'm sorry.
Because I've been in this visual kaleidoscope for several, I don't know, hours or minutes, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm super comfortable with all the visual things that I'm experiencing, because I'm seeing the energy on the outside of my peripheral. I'm seeing visual things move. I'm seeing shadows, light, all these kind of different things. So I'm fine with it. It's not bothering me at all. So initially I just see you as a shadow. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But then in the next instant, I realize, fuck, shadow move. And it's fucking, what the fuck? Scared the living shit out of me.
I know.
And
I didn't laugh at the time. It's fucking funny now. But at the time I was like, God damn it.
So it drops me back into this dimension and into our bathroom.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't want to be here yet.
Yeah.
I'm amphibious. And so then I had this really cool experience with my hair. I have long hair, if you've never seen me. And I hung my head down and flipped my hair over so that it was hanging down in front of my face and on the sides of my face, and my face was in the center, and my hair was basically covering my head down, and I was staring directly into the water, and my hair was making contact with the water. So I immediately, when this happened, I had this really cool visual where I could see, it felt like my hair was like vines, and I was in this like waterfall cave thing, to where I was looking out through the vines that were my hair. So it was really, really cool. And then I started to look deeper into the water. So then it was like back into the water world, even though I was like in this dimension, but then I looked down into water world, and I could see down into that space very clearly. And then I pull back my awareness to where now I'm looking at the reflection of myself, which I couldn't see very clearly, but I could catch glimpses of it. And it was dark, so I couldn't really see my face, but then I started to see a face. So it was this really intense, trippy experience of being in this vine of my hair hiding in the water. And I forgot to mention this at some point, but because I got it during this experience or that moment with my hair, and then another experience prior to that. But got some cat visuals, some real clear cat faces and stuff. And I don't get cat shit. I'm not a cat guy, and I don't like cats. So it was interesting to me to see some cat visuals. And my initial thought was just chalking it up to Harley. Harley was our cat that passed away last year. And I kind of left it at that. I didn't do much more connection or exploring. It just was more or less an awareness of his energy. And as I came out of the hair thing, I just sat there for a minute and had like this super cool visual trippy experience of watching my hair move underwater. And it was like super fucking slow motion. And my hair looked very like if you could see grass, like if you're looking into a river and you see grass underwater and it's moving very slowly as the tide or the current kind of takes it and just kind of waves back and forth slowly. That's what my hair was doing in the water. So fucking cool. I feel like I haven't been breathing this entire time. So that was like the depth. That was the deepest part of the experience this morning, and the deepest part of the journey, in a sense, was during that bath and during that time period. Got out of the bath, physically was feeling really, really good. Body was very relaxed, felt very calm and at peace. I wasn't getting visuals as much, but just color was intense, but not like, oh my God, I can't, it's too bright. Light was definitely kind of intense, and I needed some softer lighting, but I just got a lot of clarity and kind of, it's like if you adjust the contrast, in Photoshop or something like that, and increase the contrast a little bit. That's kind of what it was. So I was enjoying that. And then I'm not going to go into great detail because it's none of their fucking business. But then you and I made love and had a very beautiful experience that had a bunch of significance for us and you and me and where we're at and everything like that. And that was wonderful. And just super fucking wonderful. Because you and I haven't been, not that we haven't been connected, it's that we haven't been connecting. Because I always feel like we're connected, but I don't feel like we're always connecting. And so you and I haven't been connecting lately. So it was very, very nice to connect with you. And it wasn't just a sexual connection. Jerks, doors that are listening. It was a much deeper connection. It was wonderful. So yeah, that's it.
That's it?
That's it. I feel good.
What do you feel like your body's doing now, or where your mind is? What kind of connection do you feel like you've reestablished?
I feel very, very much reestablished into the space of like direct, literal connection with the flow of the universe.
Yeah. From
like a very energetic standpoint. My immediate response is like, oh, I'm nervous, I'm scared because I don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
Because that connection feels fragile, but it feels very much present. And I feel it, and I'm excited about it, but I'm also just nervous and kind of hesitant to move. I don't want to do something wrong to almost like sever that connection or lose that connection, because it does feel fragile right now in this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. but slowly integrate, right?
Yep. Wise witchy woman guided me towards being the tortoise.
The tortoise?
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
Them old torts.
She's talking about taking it slow and easy.
Yeah. It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when things get intense. We like to be the rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
And run super fast. But yeah, it's a good reminder.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 4-wheeler outside.
Very good.
Baby, I'm tapped into
high-five
multiple
you.
dimensions right now.
Yeah, you are. You amphibian.
I can hear 4-wheelers outside. How
Was
cool
it-
is the amphibian thing?
That's cool. It doesn't surprise me at all. It's not like you haven't had a connection to frogs your whole life.
Right?
So,
But, like,
I'm
suddenly-
I'm like, that's not a surprise.
I know, but now that has a new layer of understanding for
Yeah.
me, right? So that was very cool.
That's very cool.
There was times, because I was making a lot of vocal noises
Mm-hmm.
during different time periods of the experience in the bathtub.
Mm.
And a lot of it sounded like frogs to me. And so that was really neat.
Cool.
Yeah, there's just so many of those little layers of, connection and things like that. But
Yeah.
any other questions, my love?
Do you have anything else you want to share?
Probably not right now.
Yeah.
Nothing's coming to the forefront of my mind, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to start microdosing and seeing how that goes and seeing what that experience is like.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to give myself a few days
Yeah.
of just feeling this experience some more. And then I'll probably start that journey and that process and that experience. So I'm excited for that. And then, casting out into the future, the intention is to have some more deeper experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think it's beneficial for me.
Cool.
So after last week's episode and recording last week's episode,
What was last week's episode?
last week's episode was the 14th Amendment.
Oh, that's right.
But I think we need some sort of like sign off thing that
That's the way the cookie crumbles. When in doubt, spread them out. Like, how many do you want here? Is that not what you meant?
that's exactly what I meant.
There you go.
I think that's perfect. Yep. Either one of those will work. So
Did you have one?
no, I didn't.
I'm the only one coming up with some.
I didn't.
No?
I wanted to throw it out to you, and you hit it out of the park.
All right.
So when in doubt, spread the cookie out.